In the wake of recent events, the strained relations between India and Canada have brought to light a complex web of historical, political, and geopolitical factors. The assassination of Sikh separatist leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar in British Columbia and the subsequent accusations by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau against the Indian government have set up a chain of diplomatic reactions, leading to the heightened tensions between the two nations. Hi everyone, I'm Annika Daftari and welcome to World Deconstructed, where we will break down complex international topics for busy teenagers like you. Today, we are going to analyze the intricate considerations involved on all sides of this negotiation, shedding light on the underlying issues, historical context, and geopolitical stakes that have culminated in this diplomatic standoff. It seems like both countries are in dire need of a group therapy session. Let's begin by talking about the historical context, especially the Khalistan movement. The Khalistan movement, originating in the late 1970s, was a response to the perceived marginalization of Sikhs in India. Sikhs, who form a religious minority in India, saw greater political and cultural autonomy. The movement gained momentum due to a combination of socio-political factors, including economic disparities, demands for linguistic rights, and concerns about cultural assimilation. This movement reached its pivotal moment in 1984 with the Operation Blue Star. The Indian government, under Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, launched a military operation to remove armed militants who had barricaded themselves within the Golden Temple complex in Amritsar. These militants sought to establish Khalistan as an independent Sikh state. This controversial move, aimed at reclaiming control of Sikhs' most sacred shrine, resulted in significant casualties and widespread outrage among Sikhs both in India and abroad. The decision to use military force within the Golden Temple complex was extremely controversial and was seen by many as a violation of the sanctity of the holy site and deepened the rift between the Sikh community and the Indian government. In a tragic turn of events, Indira Gandhi's assassination in October 1984 by her Sikh bodyguards in retaliation for Operation Blue Star led to anti-Sikh riots in several parts of India. Thousands of Sikhs lost their lives in the violence, marking a dark chapter in Indian history. The aftermath of this tragic event further fueled the demand for Khalistan. Over the years, the Khalistan movement, however, has gradually lost momentum for several reasons. The Indian government implemented various measures to address Sikh grievances, including political representation, economic development, and language rights. Additionally, the militant factions within the movement faced internal conflicts and external support waned. These factors, combined with the tireless efforts of Sikh leaders advocating for peaceful resolutions, contributed to the eventual decline of the movement. Canada's relationship with the Khalistan movement has also been a contentious issue, especially under the leadership of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The country has a sizable Sikh population, but only a fraction of this community support that idea of Khalistan. However, Trudeau's political situation depends on the support of these pushing for Khalistan in order to secure his political mandate. While India has called these supporters of Khalistan terrorists, Canada has expressed its policy of multiculturalism and freedom of expression, leading to friction between the two nations. Trudeau's approach is like walking a tightrope, balancing international relations while not alienating his voter base. Talk about diplomatic acrobatics. So who was Hardeep Singh Nijjar and why was he assassinated? Hardeep Singh Nijjar was a Sikh separatist leader who had advocated for the creation of an independent state of Khalistan in the Punjab region of India. He was born in India in 1977 and moved to Canada 20 years later, where he became a Canadian citizen and a prominent figure in the Sikh community. He was involved with the Khalistan movement. He was the chief of the Khalistan Tiger Force, a militant group that has been accused of carrying out terrorist attacks in India, and the leader of the Guru Nanak Sikh Gurudwara, a Sikh temple in Surrey, British Columbia. He also supported the Khalistan Referendum 2020 campaign, an initiative by Sikhs for Justice, a US-based group that aims to hold a plebiscite on Sikh independence. India considered Nijjar as one of its most wanted terrorists and saw his arrest and extradition from Canada. India alleged that Nijjar was involved in several crimes, including plotting to kill Hindu leaders, smuggling weapons and explosives, and training Sikh militants in Canada. India also claimed that Nijjar was behind the 2016 Pathankot air base attack, which killed 7 Indian security personnel and injured 37 others. India accused Canada of harboring Sikh extremists and not cooperating with its requests to crack down on them. Nijjar and his supporters denied these allegations and said that he was a peaceful activist who advocated for the human rights of Sikhs in India. They claimed he had never supported violence or terrorism and that he was being falsely implicated by the Indian government. They also said that he faced persecution and torture in India and that he had sought asylum in Canada as a refugee. They accused India of trying to silence and eliminate him for his political views and activities. On June 18, 2023, Nijjar was shot and killed by 2 masked gunmen in the parking lot of a Sikh temple in Surrey. The assailants fled the scene in a car and have not been identified or arrested as of September 2023. The motive behind the killing is still unknown, but many Sikhs suspect that it was a political assassination orchestrated by the Indian government or its agents. The killing has sparked outrage and grief among Sikhs in Canada and around the world. Canada has also accused India of being behind this assassination, resulting in a diplomatic crisis between Canada and India. Next, let's talk about Trudeau's accusation and critically examine it. Prime Minister Trudeau's accusation of India's involvement in Hardeep Singh Nijjar's assassination has raised several questions. While Trudeau has cited credible information, no concrete evidence has been presented to substantiate this claim. India, on the other hand, vehemently denies any involvement and views the accusation as baseless and politically motivated. Now, it is also important to note the importance India has in curbing Chinese influence, because India is a major regional power and a democratic counterweight to China's authoritarian regime. India has been wary of China's aggressive and expansionist policies, especially its Belt and Road Initiative, which aims to build infrastructure and connectivity projects across Asia, Africa, and Europe. India sees the BRI as a threat to its sovereignty, security, and influence in their neighborhood and beyond. India is like the bouncer at the club, keeping China from sneaking into the VIP section. India has also taken several steps to curb Chinese economic influence, such as imposing restrictions on Chinese investments, banning Chinese apps, canceling contracts with Chinese firms, and promoting domestic manufacturing and innovation. India has also tightened security on Chinese firms in India, recently conducting tax investigations into companies including smartphone manufacturer Xiaomi. India has also sought to counter China's strategic influence by strengthening its partnership with other like-minded countries, such as the United States, Japan, Australia, France, and the United Kingdom. India has participated in multilateral forums, such as the Quad, Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, which aims to uphold a free and open Indo-Pacific region. India has also conducted joint naval exercises with these countries in the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea, where China has been asserting its territorial claims and militarizing disputed islands. In conclusion, India is important in curbing Chinese influence because it can challenge China on multiple fronts: economic, military, diplomatic, and cultural. India can also provide a democratic and sustainable model of development that respects the sovereignty and interests of other countries. By doing so, India can contribute to the regional stability and global order. India is like the guardian of the Asian backyard, keeping an eye on the unruly neighbor. Now, because of India's importance, Trudeau's stance on this matter has drawn criticism both domestically and internationally. Many in India perceive his actions as an attempt to appease a specific voter base, potentially at the expense of India-Canada relations. This incident has put Canada in a delicate position, caught between supporting a close ally and not alienating a country crucial for countering, particularly China. Now let's talk about the diplomatic responses to these accusations and the subsequent escalation. The expulsion of top diplomats by both India and Canada is a significant escalation of the situation. This move underscores the gravity with which both nations view the accusations and the subsequent fallout. It also signals a deterioration in diplomatic relations, potentially affecting trade, cooperation on global issues, and people-to-people ties. The expulsion of diplomats is a diplomatic measure that does not necessarily mean a severance of diplomatic relations, but it can escalate the tensions and hostility between the two states. Additionally, India's advisory urging its citizens in Canada to exercise caution highlights the gravity of the situation. That advisory reflects concerns over potential backlash against Indian nationals residing in Canada due to the heightened tensions. Canada's response to the advisory, however, for Indian nationals in Canada was to reject it and call for calm, claiming that the advisory was based on unfounded allegations and that Canada was one of the safest countries in the world for people of all backgrounds. Additionally, India has suspended the visa services for Canadians, affecting all types of visas, including e-visas and permanent residence for peoples of Indian origin. India said the suspension was due to the security threats to its diplomatic missions in Canada and that it would review the situation regularly. Lastly, this dispute has caused both sides to halt negotiations regarding a trade deal between their two nations that has been ongoing, on and off, since 2010. Now let's talk about the geopolitical considerations of both sides. This tension is problematic for India for several reasons. First, India views Canada as a potential partner in trade, investment, energy, education, and technology. However, the diplomatic crisis over the Nijjar case has damaged the trust and goodwill between the two countries, making it harder to cooperate on these areas of mutual interest. India is also concerned about the security implications of Canada's alleged support for Sikh separatists, who seek to create a separate state of Khalistan in India's Punjab region. India accuses Canada of harboring terrorists and allowing anti-India activities on its soil, which could pose a threat to India's sovereignty and territorial integrity. India is also frustrated by the lack of international support for its position on the Nijjar case, as its major allies have echoed Canada's allegation. This suggests that India's global influence and reputation are not as strong as it would like, especially compared to China, which is seen as a strategic rival and a challenge to India's interests in the region. India's diplomatic tightrope act is so impressive, even circus performers are taking note. For Canada, maintaining robust ties with India is vital for a multitude of reasons, including economic interests, counterterrorism efforts, and collaboration on global issues, such as climate change. However, the need to address the concerns of its Sikh diaspora, a significant voting bloc, presents a domestic political imperative that complicates its foreign policy. Now let's talk about the future and the hopes of a resolution. Resolving this situation is like untangling a ball of yarn. It's going to take time, patience, and a whole lot of careful unraveling. In order to move forward and lessen tensions between India and Canada, both sides need to take steps to begin talking once more and rebuilding the trust between their nations. Additionally, both sides could agree to conduct a joint investigation into the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar and share the findings and evidence with the world. This could help clear the air and establish the truth about the alleged involvement of Indian agents in the assassination. The two countries could also cooperate on counterterrorism and security issues and address each other's concerns about extremist activities on their soil. As the world watches, India and Canada are in a dance-off of diplomatic proportions. Let's hope they've got the right moves to find a resolution. This tension could also affect the solidarity and cohesion of the Five Eyes alliance, which is seen as a key mechanism to counter China's rising power and assertiveness in the Asia-Pacific region. Canada and India are both part of the Quad alliance with the United States and Australia as well, which is another mechanism to balance China's influence in the region. However, the Nijjar case has put Canada in an awkward position with its Quad partners, especially the United States, which have been courting India as a key ally and partner against China. The United States has expressed its support for Canada over the Nijjar case, but has maintained its close relationship with India. The other Quad partners, Australia and New Zealand, have been reluctant to take sides or condemn India over the Nijjar case. This could create a rift or dilemma within the Five Eyes alliance, as they have to balance their interests and values between Canada and India. The India-Canada diplomatic standoff encapsulates a complex interplay of historical legacies, domestic political considerations, and geopolitical imperatives. Navigating this intricate landscape requires careful diplomacy, a commitment to transparency, and a genuine willingness to address the concerns of all parties involved. The resolution of this dispute holds significance not only for the two nations directly involved, but also for the broader international community. If you want to learn more about this topic, check out the links at the description below. Have you read an article you don't understand or a headline you want more details on? Tell us in the comments below and we will deconstruct it for you. And do you have any recommendations on how we can improve this show for you? Please tell us in the comments down below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends as well. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you know when your next episode drops. See you next time.